Hi everyone, my name is Katy. I'm with the Meeple Society. You know, throughout all of our videos and all of our podcasts, we talk a lot about our game room and our two collections, especially as we're doing our playthrough videos. Thought I would give a little history on those and maybe show you around our game rooms. So this is our main game room. Well, at least one wall of it. I'll show you the rest of it in a minute. This room started out life as a two-car garage. The previous owners of the house used to build race cars, so I'm told. So they had built on this two-car tandem garage where they could build race cars in here and store them nose to tail. Along with this room came concrete floors, very little drywall, very tall ceilings, which were nice, but nonetheless, this huge ceiling mounted furnace that blocked everything. So regardless, we didn't need a second garage. So we'd spent a little bit of time as a workshop. And eventually we ended up turning this room into 2 bedrooms. We were doing foster care at the time and we needed the extra living space. So we put carpets down and we drywalled everything, put drop ceilings in to cover that god-awful ugly furnace hanging in the ceiling. And it spent a good decade as 2 bedrooms. Well, eventually, time goes on. We no longer needed that much living space. And we'd always told ourselves that if that furnace ever failed, and mind you, that furnace was 30 years old at this point. If that furnace ever failed, by gosh, we were tearing out everything and building a game room. We got into gaming roughly 2013. Long story there. We've talked about it on lots of podcasts. If you really want to know and you want me to do a video on that, put it in the comments. I will be happy to do so. I'm not going to do it today. 2018 rolls around and we developed this major leak in the furnace. So we decided, okay, now's the time. And so we got bids, we signed a contract to replace the furnace, and we're going to move it into a floor normal furnace. Take out that ceiling mount. We wanted the really tall ceilings back. About 2-3 weeks before the furnace was due to be installed, we started tearing out the rooms. We took down the interior wall between the 2 bedrooms. We ripped out all the carpet, all the drywall. We ripped out the drop ceilings. And lo and behold, wouldn't you know it, our major leak was a piece of failed duct tape. Yeah, the duct tape had come loose on the foam boarding, the pieces that build the ducts, and had caused a pretty major leak. So we taped that sucker back up and wouldn't you know it, the furnace worked just fine. However, at this point, we were in too deep. So we went ahead and decided to heck with it. We know that poor furnace is on borrowed time. It's already 30 years old. So we'll go ahead and continue with our plans. We raised the floors so we could insulate them, and so that it was not 2 steps down from the main part of the house, only 1 step down. We raised the ceilings up as tall as we could get them, put in new bulkheads to accommodate the new ductwork for the new furnace, put in all new drywall, new windows, the whole works. This is the result. So the garage door, the original garage door, used to be actually right here on this wall. We changed that out to a window years ago when we first built the bedrooms. We basically reframed it as a solid wall when we started this project. All right, so up above here, up above this shelf is where we keep a lot of our older games, our more collectible type games, some of the larger stuff that maybe doesn't come down quite as often and won't fit into the cubes as well. Most of those are our older collectible ones that we don't play, but at the same time, I don't really want to get rid of either. And we'll talk about each of these as we go through our collection in the videos. Some of them, unfortunately, it may be a little while. We also keep our smaller, as you can see, our smaller tubes up there. A lot of these are play mats. There's a couple other things up there like my old Pente game from high school, things like that. So, but yeah, that's where all of the smaller tubes are kept. As we're going through, you're going to see some holes. Well, Feast for Odin and Fields of Arl go here, but we are in the process of filming our F videos, so those have been set aside for that purpose. So like I said, if you see a few holes, that's why. Trust me, we don't have any room in the collection. Every hole you see probably has somebody has a home there. It's just not on the shelf at the moment. Over here are some of our smaller games. I've just done a little bit of rearranging, hence the big hole there, half a shelf empty. So I guess the whole, holes theory does not quite hold true right here, but for the most part it will. Over here in the corner, I just have some drawers with basic stuff in it, pens and pencils and cups for little bits. The card trays, we've used these on a couple of our videos. I found these on Etsy years ago for Catan, and I use them for almost any game that has little cards now. Bags and card sleeves. And then at the very bottom is all of our dice from our RPG days. Over here in the corner is where we keep all of our larger tubes for all of our large playmats. Currently, and I'm sure you'll see it as I get around to the other side of the room, we're in the process of putting some sound dampening up. We've noticed the last couple of videos have sounded a little hollow, so we're trying to rectify that. So we're in the process of putting some sound dampening up, and I just haven't finished the last package yet. As we round the room a little bit, you'll notice that these are not arranged in any particular order. We pretty much have them set wherever they'll fit. We try to keep things as tight as we can in here. It's one of the problems I have with the cubes is that things don't always fit tightly, but like here, we've ended up stuffing a couple of things in, but we do the best we can to rearrange boxes so that everything fits tightly. We're in the middle of our Jaws of the Lion campaign, so that's why he's sitting up here on top and all of my extras for it. Over here, you'll notice a lot of F games up here on the top. This is kind of our staging area. Once we hit about 50 games left in a letter, then we'll just pull everything from both rooms and set everything up here on top. And that way it just gives us a better idea of what we have left, and we can plan those last few weeks of recording the playing through our collection video. So this is all of the F games we have left to play for the next 2 episodes. Up here is a lot of our roll and writes. Behind that is, hopefully not too much of a spoiler, that is the shadow box I created for our play of Pandemic Legacy Season 1. So behind me is the rest of the room, and you can see how long this room is. So we broke it up into 2 spaces. Originally, we had a set of chairs and a coffee table over there. We ended up taking those out because we ended up moving our primary table over there every week to do recordings. It seemed silly, so we finally just got a table for that end of the room. So over here, this shelf, Greg is a carpenter. Bless his heart, he built this whole unit for us. Matter of fact, he did most of this room. I helped a lot, but I could not have done it by myself, that's for sure. So anyway, this shelf started its life as with all of our videos on it. But as our video collection decreased, this one has slowly been transitioning from videos over to some of the smaller games that will fit on it, and it gets it off of the bigger shelves, which I really love. Down over here is the rest of the collection. These are the ones that don't get played quite as often, but they still get played. On the back wall is kind of some overflow. It's an area that just fit perfectly over the dog door, so we made use of it. The door is the closet to the new furnace. So Greg built a closet around it and gave us some extra storage inside of it. So it works out very, very nicely. One last thing you cannot see from the other side of the room is the back side of that cabinet, that back side of the bookshelf that Greg built. That's our RPG collection. Unfortunately, it's not used as often as we would like, but it still gets used occasionally. Okay, so that is our game room. This is where we spend a majority of our time at home, as I'm sure you can see why. So let me take you into the other room and I'll show you where we house what we call our travel collection. Okay, so welcome to the travel collection. First, let me apologize for the lighting in this room. Unfortunately, it is not great. I tried to choose a sunny day to film on, but that doesn't always help. So this is where we store what we call the travel collection. If you're not sure what I mean by that, then I'll give you a brief history here, but I don't want to rehash it in full. We talk about it quite extensively on several of our playing through our collection videos. So any of the first of each letter series, we talk about it there. So definitely go and check those out. But brief history, this collection started at just a couple hundred games when we were working with the choir department at our local high school. Our boys were both in show choir, and one of the fundraisers we did was a community family game night. Of course, not everybody's into the hobby games or the strategic games, so we started hitting up Goodwills and places like that to find mass market games, your Sorries, your Monopolies, your Lives, things like that. So slowly the collection built to a couple hundred games. However, when we stopped doing that fundraiser, well, my trips to Goodwill didn't stop. Let's put it that way. A few years later, we were helping run the competition there, and we decided to have a game room. Some of these choir competitions, the kids spend hours of just downtime where they're in between performances. So this provided the perfect opportunity to allow the kids to blow off some steam over a deck of cards or over a board of chess. It was such a huge success, and we had so many great compliments from the directors and the parents and the kids that we decided this was worth pursuing, taking to other schools. So that's what we're doing. That being said, the collection has grown to over 1,100 pieces, or had grown to over 1,100 pieces, and we're not taking that number anywhere. So we started paring them down, hence the playing through our collection videos. Let me show you around the room a little bit. I'll show you how I have things organized. So over on this wall is all of our family games. Your Sorries, your Lives, your Monopolies, your Scrabbles. Up on top is all of our larger games, some of the older, larger games, and down on bottom is some of the more square games and the really larger boxes like Museum Caper and Blocus and Tropiture. And so, yeah, some of the big square boxes. Back here behind me is the kids' games. And again, you see this giant hole because these were all Fs. So they're all in the other room. Here we have some abstract games. Again, another hole, more abstracts. This is what I call my hobby party games. Things like Munchkin, Lemon Mafia, King of Tokyo, Hail Hydra, Code Names, that type of game. And then some of my mystery stuff, all of my escape rooms and 221 Baker Street. And then on the very top is all the straight party games, things like Funglish and Buzzword and Blurt and Balderdash and Apples to Apples. All right, along this wall is all of our hobby games. Well, first of all, up top is the remaining party games. So we've done a lot of rearranging. This room actually used to be packed to the brim, and I've got a lot of holes now. I've done some rearranging to reclassify stuff. So party games has kind of bled over here, and then the rest of this top shelf is all trivia. From here down is all my hobby strategy. This started off as one shelf. And little by little, between picking things up off of Facebook Marketplace or off of yard sales at our local stores, places like that, we've kind of grown this collection a little bit, this piece of the collection, which will hopefully give us more ability to go to places other than just high schools eventually when we get there. But all of my hobby strategy games, and then down here is my kid strategy, my young child strategy, like Engine number 9, which we just talked about. Great game. Kids of Catan, Labyrinth, Outfoxed, Pengola, things like that. So one last thing I wanted to show you in this room. These are, again, another product of Greg's handiwork. He built me these. We had a problem with storing and moving some of the really small games. So we used to, when we first started doing this, Greg built me these as well. As you can see this, hopefully you can see this rolling cart down here on bottom. But we would store them all. These grow to about four shelves high. We would just saran wrap everything, have everything stored on there, saran wrap it all up and put them onto the moving truck and move them to the school or wherever we were going. And we'd get there and everything would be a big old mess. we figured out some ways around it, but it wasn't the most practical way to move small games. So Greg built me these. Each one of these are 2 bookcases that we bought at Walmart. And he built a base for me to roll around on, and this top lip to hold everything together. I put some felt inside of it, and it holds a lot of smaller games up top now too. So we can just saran wrap this whole thing and roll it right onto a moving truck. These are fabulous. One of my favorite things in this room, honestly. So that is all of this collection. Okay, so that is both game rooms, both our collection and the travel collection, all, well, what used to be over 1,600 of them. I honestly don't know what it's down to now. I haven't looked lately. But if you have any questions, if you saw something that maybe you want an explanation on and I didn't cover it, by all means put it in the comments. I'll be happy to answer. If you saw a game you'd like more information on, or perhaps a playthrough or a rules breakdown, let me know. I'll be happy to do that too. But in the meantime, thank you for watching.